This is a tutorial on how I make the fire in Adobe After Effects. I use Adobe After Effects CS3 with all the built-in stuff, nothing special. So basically, all you got to do is first ignore the camera. I just use this because after I made it, I wanted to bring it in closer. So just go ahead and create a particle system, just using any particle system you want to get the fire that you want. You need the flow. Get the flow the way you need it. Basically, I just created a simple, let me move this up a little bit. Simple particle system, just flowing in the air, just rising up. And here I use CC Particle Systems 2, birth rate of 4, longevity 2. I use the direction, change that to direction, velocity. I set to 0.1, gravity minus 0.1, and just change the direction the way I wanted it to go. Once I got the flow that I wanted, I changed it to shaded sphere, because you need that shaded sphere. Leave the birth color and death color exactly the way it is, yellow and red, as fire colors, unless you want different kind of colors. Of course, and the other thing I changed was the birth and death size and size variance. Size variance to 100, or whatever you want. You know, it depends on the look. None of these have to be the same as mine or anything. It's just whatever looks good for the particular fire that you got going on. I'm just letting you know my settings. I changed burst size to 0, so because you want it to start off small and then get bigger as it rises. So change the depth size to something a little bit bigger, just until you get some kind of flow similar to this, and you'll see what it does. You don't want to try to make it look too close to fire or anything yet, and you leave it open. You don't need it thick or anything. You don't need a whole bunch of particles in there. It just has to look, just broken up like this with colors. And once you do that, then go ahead and you get the flow right. Add a CC vector blur to it. Change the type to perpendicular and change your amount a little bit. I chose minus 27 for this one. You just want to kind of swirling the particles, just to kind of mess them up and smear them. Ridge smoothness I set to 0. I set property to alpha and map softness 22.5. And then once you get that, just get the look. See it goes from this to this. So basically, you just want the particles to smear into each other. There's no one setting for this. It's however it looks for your particular particle system you used. Then add a turbulent displace to it, which helps even more. It helps give it more of a fire kind of motion, because the CC vector blur blurs the particles into each other. The turbulence ones actually adds the fiery wiggle to it, which you need. So the only thing you got to change in here is size. Turn it down to something small, nothing too crazy. I just chose 6 for mine, and then add an amount to make it what you want, to give it that look that you want. And it just wiggles the fire as it rises, and kind of almost looks like, it definitely looks like fire flowing just the way it is. But of course it doesn't look like fire yet. Okay, once you get the flow right, then you want to create a duplicate layer of that underneath, which is going to be your smoke layer. So your top layer is going to be fire, the bottom layer is going to be your smoke. And for the smoke, what you're going to want to do is change the longevity up a little bit to make it rise higher than the fire. And then change your birth rate to whatever you think you need it. You can lower the birth rate of it, because it doesn't have to be as thick as the fire. Turn your opacity up though, up or down depending on how thick you want the fire or the smoke to show through. So remember, you're not trying to make it look perfect like fire, because you really use a lot of particles, and if you tried to get it to look like fire in this comp, try to get it as close as you can, but not too bright, because in the final comp, if it's too bright in this comp, it's going to be too bright in your final comp. So you don't want anything highlighting too bright to where it kind of overexposes like your glows in here. You don't want that to glow too much. Change of transferred mode, I forgot to mention, to add for your particle system, do it for both of them. And what you're going to want to do for the smoke though is change your burst size to a little bit too small, but a little bit, not 0, something a little bit bigger, because smoke's going to kind of start sort of in the middle, not at the very bottom. it's going to be thicker anyway. So make it a little bit thicker. You want it to show on the outside. So make your birth size and death size bigger, so the smoke kind of shows past the fire, just as you can see in mine. You just want it bigger, thicker, and bigger. And change your birth color to something to a color that's kind of close to the middle of your actual fire, which would be like an orangey brown or something. And your death color, of course, black, gray, or white, just like smoke would be, black, gray, or white, whatever you want. And you don't have to change vector blur or turbulence or any of that stuff. Leave all that stuff the way it was. You're basically just creating smoke. You're just changing it enough to where it looks like smoke behind it. Once you get that, then pre-comp those two into their own comp. And what you need to do for this, let me turn all these off just to show you step by step of what I've done. First step is to add a displacement map to it, which just add a displacement and displacement map layer to itself, and set the horizontal and vertical to luminance, and just adjust it until you get, you know, that kind of shiny look, the displacement look. You just want it to, you know, kind of makes the fire look just more organic or something. So you go from just a blurry fire to a kind of shiny looking fire, which, you know, just looks way more realistic. And once you get that, let me kind of set this up a little bit more. There we go. I just like to see that kind of shine in it. Okay, once you get the displacement the way you want it, just go ahead and add a tint to it, a brightness and contrast, and a hue and saturation. This way you kind of can really tweak it, you know, just play with it until, you know, all the little different things until you get the look you want. I just adjust everything. You can go probably with just a hue and saturation, that might do it. But you know, I like to just set all three of them there just so I have more to play with. Go from, you know, black and white there, and just, you know, however you want it. Just add change. This way you can change your hue, your saturation a little bit. Turn down the brightness, lightness of it. And that's basically it, you know. And if your smoke's too black, if you don't want the black smoke, remember, just go back to the other comp and change your smoke color to something. See, once you get to this comp, you can see the difference. So it's not going to look like this in the final comp once you add the displacement and those other things to it. So you have to remember that. So try to make everything kind of faded looking and blurry in this one, so when you come to your final comp, it'll get that real fire look to it. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this for you, and I'll come back. Okay, and there you have your fire. Flows, to me it looks pretty much like fire, I think. You got the smoke, the turbulent displays wiggling it around as it flows up and it boils up, and so that's pretty much the basic fire. Hopefully, you know, you use this with other things, the idea of it, the displacement and everything, to help you make your own fire. Do all sorts of stuff.